So how's it going, dudes and dudettes, and welcome back to the Duelist channel. Today guys, it's Master Duel and we are gonna tackle the new or the updated version of our branded Despia. Now, with the help of the new latest cards that we got from the last selection pack last Friday, we managed to build up our brand new Despia deck with those cards. And it was very nice using this deck in ranked yesterday. I got a lot of wins, got a lot of places, and knew some combos that I didn't actually know. So first and foremost, let's get into Master Duel and check that deck out.
A few moments later.
So here we are guys for the updated version for the branded Despia. Now you might be thinking, what is the difference with this branded Despia from the other branded Despias that we have on our previous videos? Well, basically you have here the 3 copies of branded fusion, which is a must for having this branded deck. Now, branded fusion is, if you are not familiar with this is kind of like Fusion Destiny, but on steroids. And I mean steroids because not only Konami did not limit this card from 1 or 2, you can use this one with 3 copies. And it is a must having 3 copies of this to have this one on your starting hand, or even having the probability of getting this on your next draw. And with that, we have your extra deck that is composed of all fusion monsters. Now, I was thinking of adding Predaplant, Verti, and Anaconda, but I will work on that on a later video. So to start off our main deck, we have 1 copy of Despia Comedy. Now, if you are not familiar with this card is a lifesaver towards your fusion monsters. And what I mean by that, let's say your fusion monster is targeted by an effect of a Dracoback, then you can chain the effect of Comedy towards your fusion monster, swapping its place from the graveyard to the side of the field with your fusion monster, thus disjointing the targeted effects and resolving it with no effects whatsoever to your fusion monster. Although your fusion monster is in your graveyard, it's better than to have that one in your graveyard than in your extra deck. Next up, you have 2 copies of Despia Tragedy, allowing you to recycle your branded fusion from your graveyard or even your other branded cards from the graveyard to your side of the field. Next, we have 3 copies of Maxis just for draw power, 3 copies of Ash Blossom for negation or disruption, and we have here the DPE engine included. Now, some may think, why would I waste my time adding DPE into this branded deck? Well, basically, the new DPE allows me to gain more materials on the field by spell summoning a copy of Malicious to the field, and of course, Denier can be spell summoned to your side of the field. If ever Fusion Destiny is not used or is disrupted and sent to the graveyard, then I have a lot of polymerizations here. And not only that, my theater is 1 face-up polymerization, just targeting any monsters for fusion summoning. Now, with that out of the way, I'm going towards our Edge Imp Chain or our Patchwork engine, which we have 2 copies of Edge Imp Chain, 2 copies of polymerization, and 2 copies of Fright for Patchwork. Now, this is a necessity for this deck, and of course, this will allow you to be more flexible, not only having Albert or our theater to work its way towards a good combo. So with that, having 2 copies of each is pretty good. Other people are using 3 copies of each. For me, it's just too much and it takes up a lot of space. So much better having 2 of each in this deck is pretty good for its ratio. Next, we have 2 copies of Fallen Valbas. 1 copy is good, but if ever one is banished and you need another one or another spare to use, then you have another copy in your deck or whatsoever. So having 2 copies is good. Next up, we have Albert, Jester of the Despia. So I've seen a lot of people using the Adventure Engine with the branded decks. For me, in my own opinion, it's good in a sense that you can get a ton of negations. But there is some cases when your starting hand has 1 Albert and 1 Rite of Hermesir. So yeah, it happens. I've tried that one before. Even with Sword Souls, you need to choose whether to have the effect or prompt the effect of the normal summon monster or use the effect of the Rite of Aramesir. So it's either one of those effects. Second, you also have a Garnet on your deck, which of course you have, it's either your Fateful Adventure or even your Dracoback. So it's much better for this kind of process for the branded Despia. Now, it's all on my opinion. I'm sure you guys have your own opinion for having that archetype added into the branded deck. It's up to you guys and it's based on preference. Do what you need to do. For me, this is the right amount for the cards that I can use, and yeah. Now, with that out of the way, we can move towards our 2 copies of Malicious, 1 copy of Dramaturge. This is still good and viable for this deck. Having to negate 1 other type of monster once it's summoned to the field, it's pretty good. And 1 copy of Ad Libitum of Despia, allowing you to spell summon a monster or a fusion monster from the banish zone or even in your graveyard to your side of the field. That's pretty good. Then we move towards your spell cards, which we start off with 2 copies of Polymerization, 1 Foolish Burial, 2 Fright for Patchwork, 1 Fusion Destiny for our DPE engine, 3 copies of Branded Fusion, and this is really a must for this deck. Now, there are some cases then you can get a copy of Branded Lost, but setting up Branded Lost, then moving towards your Fusion Summoning takes a lot of effort, but this is better in a sense. But yeah, I'll work towards another video when we'll have the branded cards added into one deck. Then we have 1 copy of the Theater. Theater is still pretty good, very reliable if ever you don't have a polymerization on hand. Next, we have 2 copies of Super Poly. Since most of the cards or most of the decks that I'm playing up against are now branded decks, and this card has been a lifesaver in changing the win probability in your game. Super Poly to 2 dark monsters on your field can immediately go towards your Starving Venom or even your Mud Dragon. If ever you want, you can add also Predaplant Trifoveratum for 3 dark monsters on the field. It's kind of like Lava Golem but with Super Poly, and it cannot be negated once it's activated. It's pretty good. Then we have 2 copies of Call by the Grave, 1 copy of Crossout Designator, 3 copies of Branded Opening, a must for searching probability, and lastly, 1 copy of Branded in red. And that is the composition for your main deck, guys. We move towards our extra deck, which we start off with 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, 1 Predaplant Dragostipelia. Now you can have 2 copies of this, but I just prefer having 1. You can also go with another Predaplant Trifoveratum and remove Mud Dragon of the Swamp. It's up to you. Then we move towards our Titanic Lad, 1 Spring and Iron Dash Dragon, 2 copies of Albion the Branded, and this is pretty good if you have another copy. That's why I have 2 copies for Albion. For targets for Mirror Jade, 1 copy of Despia Quartus. This is still good and viable for the deck, changing all your non-fusion monsters that are level 8 or higher to 0s, allowing you to deal the whole attack to their life points. 1 DPE, 2 copies of Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. It's pretty good. This card, once it was released, got famous already. Next, we have 2 copies of Lobelion, the Searing Dragon. This is kind of like the effects of Albion, but instead of banishing those cards, you will return it to their respective decks. It's pretty good. Recycling power for this card is really, really good. I would advise getting 2 or 3 copies, but just having 2 is just enough. Then we move towards Guardian Chimera for our, well, basically our Guardian Chimera. And then we move towards our Guardian Chimera, popping 1 card or popping 2 cards depending on the materials used in the field, and then drawing 1 card or 2 cards depending on the materials on hand. So it's pretty good. Then we have Despia and Proskinion. So since we are going up against a lot of dark and light monsters, which are mostly Despian as well, with the help of Super Poly, can immediately go towards a good play. I think that's basically the extra deck right now. I think I'll try to tweak this in the near future, but for now, this is the deck that I'm running towards Diamond 2 at the moment. But anyways, let's move towards the replays and I'll showcase to you how good this deck is. So here we are, guys, on the replays, and to start off, we won the coin toss, but we got a mediocre hand with Comedy, Maxi, Ash Blossom, Fright for Patchwork, and even Call by the Grave. Now, there's no other play that we can do here but use Patchwork on our first turn. Since, of course, I think we are going up, we're going on a mirror match against a branded deck, another variety of a branded deck. So Comedy and HM Chain are gonna be used for its fusion summoning. To Quartus. Quartus is good if it leaves the field. It can get Aliber or even Albaz. So set 1 back row and end my turn. So like I said, we're going up against a mirror match for another variety of branded. So he used the effect of Theater and then Rite of Armistier. I chain with my Maxi, getting cards out of the spell summon. There we go. Faithful Adventure is gonna search for a Wandering Griffin, but I want to Ash Blossom that one. Sadly, he has a copy of Branded Fusion, so I can't stop that one. So he summoned Lobelion with the use of Despian, Tragedy, and Albaz. So Lobelion will prompt its effect. Second effect will be from Faithful Adventure, and lastly from Tragedy. Now I don't want him to search for another Despian card, so I use Call by the Grave to banish his Tragedy. Now this will affect me in the later turn, but nevertheless, I think it will end on the 3rd turn anyways. So he searched for his Draco back, and then he went ahead and fusion summoned into his Mirror Jade to the side of the field. So he's gonna use his Draco back. I'm gonna chain with my Quirtus. There we go. He's gonna activate the effects of Draco back, and I then chain with my Comedy in my graveyard. So that is one benefit for having Comedy in your graveyard, actually. So disjointing the effect and with resolving none of my monsters back to my extra deck. So that my Quirtus is in my graveyard, and I will summon this one in the next turn. And with that also, from the Maxi, we got a lot of cards, a lot of good cards, including Fusion Destiny. He sets one back row, and he got a copy of Branded Red with the help of his Albion on the end turn. Passed on to me, and we draw into Crystal Designator, so we are free to move whatever play that we can do. Patchwork is activated, summon Alibert to the field. He got a copy of Infinite Impermanence. Now at this point here, I really thought that I got a copy of Infinite Impermanence because I tried using Infinite Impermanence. I was testing out some decks before. So yeah, this was actually a misplay on my part. So other than that, I just called Maxi just to avoid any Maxi conundrum. But the effects of Infinite Impermanence just went off, so I can't do anything. Luckily, I have Polymerization on hand and use the effect of Polymerization to summon Guardian Chimera. With of course, I have Ad Libitum on hand as fusion material. So Guardian Chimera will take its effect, Ad Libitum will use its effect, spell summoning Quirtus to the field. There we go. And then since Mirror Jade's effect has already been used, he can't do anything actually. So I pop Mirror Jade in the field, draw 2 cards, and use Fusion Destiny. There we go. Lower the attack for those monsters, and I basically would have used Branded Fusion there, but it's already lethal, so I just went ahead and used my DPE. There we go. So here we are, guys, in the second game, and of course we got a good hand with Edgem Chain, Alibert, 1 Dramaturge of Despia, Ad Libitum, and of course our brand new Branded Fusion. So our opponent is starting off this game. I think we're going up against Trains here, yeah, or Earth Infinitrack. I think that's what you call that deck. So anyways, I'm just gonna fast forward this because he doesn't have a good back row after his combo anyways. And this is rank. So there we go. I'm just gonna return it to normal once he has his 1 monster on the field. So basically that's everything that he did for his combo. I don't know why he doesn't have a good end board. Ballista is activated. Get a hold of an Ancient Gearbox. Activated. Get a Hound. And move toward the double-headed Anger. Knuckle. And that's basically his end board right there. Draw 2 cards and then set 1 back row. Which was not the best. So at this point on, we are free to move whatever play we can do. Summon Alibert to the field. Get a hold of our Despian Theater. Activate Theater in the field. Polymerize 3 monsters into Chimera. Chimera on the field. Draw 2 cards, pop 1 card on the field, activate Edgem Chain in the graveyard, and of course our Dramaturge for the 3rd chain. He then changed with his Knuckles. I think he's getting our Spell Summoning Express Bullet Train to the field with the help of Knuckles. But nevertheless, this game is over. Dramaturge to the field. A copy of Patchwork is added to our hand. Draw 2 cards, pop 1 back row. He used the effect of Urgent Schedule, just drawing, getting a copy of 1 level 10 machine monster. And there we go. Patchwork is activated. Get a copy of Polymerization and Edgem Chain. Activate the effect of Foolish Burial, sending our Tragedy to the graveyard. Getting a copy of Despian Comedy. Using Polymerization now for the summoning of our fusion monster, Quirtus. And Quirtus is still good. Since we're going up against Lynx, and that monster is not a fusion monster, it's pretty good. We move towards our branded fusions, summoning our Lobelion to the field. And then Lobelion will fusion summon monsters by discarding 1 Polymerization from our hand Chaining it with Curtis, of course, by turning all our opponent's monsters into 0, including us, since we have a non-level 8 fusion monster. Then Lobelian will summon its Mirror Jade. And then lastly, we summon our fusion, our DPE using Fusion Destiny. And that is how you have a good end board. Use the effect of Mirror Jade, banish the Bullet Train, and then attack for game. Or we have more than lethal for this, actually. There we go. So third and the last game, guys, we have Fallen of Albaz, 1 Ad Libitum, 1 Fright for Patchwork, and 1 Cold by the Grave. And also 1 Branded Opening, of course, as our starting hand. So to start off, we will use our Patchwork, since that's the only viable option we have there. He has Ash Blossom, of course. Luckily, we have Cold by the Grave to negate his Ash Blossom, thus allowing us to search for our Patchwork engine. Cold by the Grave's animation is still amazing. There we go, negated Ash Blossom, and come forth our Polymerization and our HM Chain. We'll then use Branded Opening, send our HM Chain into the graveyard, get a hold of our Tragedy. Now, there's a reason why I get Tragedy, actually. So, HM Chain, Properties Effect, get a copy of our Patchwork, use Polymerization, fuse into our very own Lobelian, and since Tragedy is used as a material sent to the graveyard, so I'll use Lobelian's effect and then Tragedy as Chain Link 2 for getting a copy of a 1 Despia monster. And this is one of the reasons why I prefer the pure branded Despia monsters, since I can normal summon and use its effect. So Lobelian uses its effect, summon Mirror Jade to the field. Aliber is normal summon, get a copy of our Theater. Theater will prompt its effect, and we move towards fusion summoning into Quertus on the field. And now, since Ad Libitum is used as a fusion material, I can spell summon Aliber into our field. Now, this is not the best of hand, this is not the bravest, but it works. So we're going up against Numeron here. Lightning Storm is activated, destroying our monster. Nevertheless, we have Branded Opening. He will tribute my 2 monsters, or my 2 fusion monsters, for a Lava Golem, which was pretty bad. He used Terraforming to get Numeron Network. Numeron Network will allow him to spell summon 4 XZ monsters, which is the annoying Quadros. Destroy my Aliber. Luckily, I have Theater of the Branded on the field. And then I was able to summon my Mirror Jade to the field. There we go. He's gonna attack for the second time. I use the effect of Mirror Jade, banish my Albion, and then banish his attacking monster. He managed to attack my the third and the fourth monster. Nevertheless, it was fine because I have Aliber in hand when he destroyed my Mirror Jade. There we go, negated, and he can't do anything other than that. Other than summoning another Numeron that banishes everything on the field. So that's pretty bad. There we go. Since Ad Libitum is actually sent to the graveyard, by the end turn I got a copy of Branded Fusion. So on my turn, I drew into Comedy, which was pretty good, pretty awesome. Use Branded Fusion to get a Comedy to the graveyard. Summon forth Lobelian. Lobelian will prompt its effect, sending our Comedy to the graveyard. And of course, Despia and Tragedy will prompt its effect. Get a copy of Aliber once more, and Lobelian will fuse into our Mirror Jade Dragon. There we go. Normal summon our Aliber. Again, I think we got a copy of Branded in Red here. Yeah, we got a copy of Branded in Red. Use the effect of Branded in Red. We go for Ad Libitum, since this is beneficial for our fusion summoning. I didn't use the effect of Branded in Red because I can't attack directly. So I use the effect of Theater, get our Perskinian to the field. And with that, since Ad Libitum is used as a material, I managed to summon my Quertus back to the field and attack for lethal. That is Branded Despia. So that is the replays, guys, and that is the deck profile for you today. If you like this kind of video, please like, subscribe, and of course comment in the video if need be. That's it for today. Keep safe, good luck, and I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye. Have a good day.